What is up, Titans fans? Welcome to a brand new Titans Season 4 video, and today we are doing a discussion series video. A bunch of you have sent in some really interesting topics to cover. Long story short, by the way, I am away right now. I have no idea what day this is uploading on. But yeah, I just wanted to schedule a couple of videos for when I'm away, and I thought, why not engage with the Titans community and talk about this upcoming season, especially as we've got some new kind of news this week, of which I assume I've already covered by now. But either way, guys, hopefully I answered your question for those of you who have sent them in this video. A lot of Season 4 discussion to be had, so if you enjoyed this video, do let me know down in the comments below, and we can do another one before Season 4 airs in November, for those of you who don't know. So, the first one is from Unpheasant11 saying, if they did introduce Roy Harper this season, do you think he will be in one or multiple episodes? Any hopes or wishes for Roy? So that's the question, isn't it? It really is the question, because we've had Roy Harper teased ever since Season 2. I remember when Donna got that text. Then last season we had those Argus operatives. I think their boss was Roy Harper or whatever was going on there. So they've been setting it up for a while, and with regards to teasing a character like that, you would have thought that their plans were to introduce Roy Harper at some point in the show, actually getting an actor to play him, because if it was just all Easter eggs and references, then surely they'd do that with a bunch more characters. The question I'm now wondering, or what's on my mind, is maybe they've intended to bring him in, and maybe this could be the season. I really don't know that. I haven't heard any behind the scenes through the grapevine stuff about this. I have absolutely no idea. But what I'm kind of concerned about is maybe all those setups were designed to bring him in, but for some reason or another, they got a red flag when they initially thought they had a green flag. I do want to stress that's just speculation. I could be 200% wrong there. But yeah, if they did introduce Roy Harper this season, would he be in one or multiple episodes? Who knows? I think if they were to introduce him this season, given that we haven't seen anything with Roy Harper on the streets with the Titans, in the behind the scenes photos taken by some photographers out there, I feel like if they do bring him in, and they're aiming for a Season 5, which of course I think they're aiming for, it's just that, this season we don't know if it will get renewed for a 5th season, and more on that in a little bit, I'm sure. They might tease him or introduce an actor towards the end. Think Superboy and how he was teased at the end of Season 1 in Cadmus Labs. That would be like a way, I think, or a good tactic for fans to be like, oh my god, I want to see Roy. I mean, it's totally possible that this season he could feature in an episode over like a video feed or something like that. I would half expect Brenton Thwaites' freaking Dick Grayson to be on the phone saying, like, the scene opens up with him being like, okay, thanks, Roy. And then, Raven walks in. He's like, what's up? Just something as casual as that. But again, that would be like, what, 2 or 3 seasons of baiting fans now with Roy Harper. My hopes and wishes for Roy is just to have him involved, even if it was just for a couple of episodes. I love Green Arrow and Roy Harper and just this Archer family, because if you didn't already notice about me, my favorite DC heroes are the non-powered ones, even though the Flash is my joint second favorite. But it's because of their abilities. They're human. Dick Grayson as Nightwing or Robin is human. Green Arrow as well, and obviously Roy Harper. So I would love to see, considering my favorite character is Batman in DC, a different type of vigilante, one who actually uses a bow and arrow. That would be so good. I think it would really fit the team extremely well, because lots of people ask me about, what about a speedster or Wally West, and that brings, as much as that would be cool, a certain set of issues with regards to how does a speedster not solve everything. But a vigilante with a bow and arrow is fairly fitting in with that of, Dick Grayson, just a different set of skills. My only hopes and wishes is for Roy to be involved, given the teasers they've already done. But I do want to add in that, in my mind, maybe they've genuinely tried to make it happen. They thought it might be happening at some point, but it never, for some reason behind the scenes, could not happen. But then again, I could be wrong, and it could still happen. But I just, it's X to doubt for now. But I would love to know your own personal wants and desires for Roy Harper if he were to ever come to Titans Season 4, or if we ever get a Season 5. Victoria Genevieve Elizabeth says, do you think this season will have a bigger budget and have one of the best scripts ever for this show, since they've said that the showrunners have listened to criticism? Now, in terms of budget, like a bigger budget, I don't think so. It's still under HBO Max like season 3 was, and I could be wrong about this again. I haven't personally looked into it. I don't know if the budget, for this season would be like, yeah, sure, have tons and tons and tons more money. Now, we are dealing with the Church of Blood, so I assume, I could be wrong with this as well, given that this is an adaptation, so Brother Blood, who knows what kind of powers we're going to get. They could be putting more money or some more of the budget into the VFX there and the CGI for stuff like that. But then again, they could just do Brother Blood, and a lot of it is an origin story, we can't forget, and how Sebastian Sanger journeys and evolves into his Brother Blood self. So powers and full showdown moments might not happen till like the mid-ish point of the season with regards to the Church of Blood. Not saying that we're not going to get action in the first few episodes. I mean, of course we will. But yeah, my intuition is telling me that, sure, there could be like a minuscule budget upgrade, but I wouldn't rely on that. I would just say it's more or less a similar budget to the previous season. But could it have one of the best scripts ever for this show? Well, I want to be optimistic, right? Us Titans fans, and I see this on social media a lot. We love the show, but we acknowledge some of the flaws that it's had since season 1. I love the cast. I feel like the casting for this show is spectacular. LJ Supersuits makes some badass suits, whether you prefer some more over others. I love the mature tone. The cinematography is just exceptional. But the writing, I have been frustrated myself. In these reviews, I strive to give an objective, without bias critique of episodes, but then subjectively, I still love the show, and that is echoed a lot on social media as well. Sometimes people are just like, yeah, screw Titans, but then there's another market of people who just really still have a passion for it. Reviewing a lot of superhero shows here, the CW's Flash and stuff like that. No show is perfect, but they make up for it in their own various different ways, and I feel like Titans has a lot of qualities to it. But pushing that kind of review, if you will, aside, I do like to think that they have listened this season. That's already been acknowledged by Ryan Potter, that they have listened to fan criticisms, especially with that of the team. And, this is the Titans show, and they have had an arc. I have understood it. I haven't always agreed with it, but, season 1 is about, them coming together. Season 2 is about them being a team, or at least trying to be a team, but then falling apart. Season 3, as Greg Walker, the showrunner, said, is them being a team, but learning to endure a threat with Red Hood. And season 4, I think, is finally going to be like, kick back in the couch kind of season, at least in terms of the team, because my God, they've got a lot to deal with Joseph Morgan and, the Brother Blood and the Church of Blood. But in terms of the dynamic, I feel like, even given some of the episode stills we've seen and how the Titans are interacting there's other aspects of this season which I think will be incredibly strong. That the question is, and always is with Titans, the script, like the writing. This is something that is the most intriguing thing. Without repeating everything I've been saying thus far, there's so much I love about the show, the cast and everything like that. But, even with season 3, as we're getting to certain points, when certain aspects get a little bit more contrived, or certain parts here and there don't really add up, or things like that, every show, or not every show, but a lot of shows suffer from some aspects of writing in those areas. And I'm really hoping that this season, and what I mean specifically is, this thing happens in the show, and think how convenient that was. Moments like that can get really frustrating. The first thing that comes into my mind is Donna wakes up in Themyscira or whatever, and then all of a sudden somehow she's at Bruce Wayne's castle, and that looked like a castle in Europe for all I know, even if it wasn't, if it was in another state. My point is, there's no explanation there. It's just not jumping from A to B, but A to Y. It's that kind of thing. They're perfectly valid criticisms. So I'd like to think that this season will be a bit more polished in those areas. But even if not, and don't get me wrong, in my breakdowns, as much as I'm a fan of this show, I'm very honest. My integrity matters to me when talking about things that I'm passionate about, and I will call it out. But even with that said, there are many things that I'm looking forward to. And one of those biggest things is the Church of Blood and Joseph Morgan. He's an exceptional talent, and that mixed with the existing cast that we've got this season with Brenton Thwaites and Starfire, Superboy with Joshua Orpin, and the fact that we've got Lex Luthor coming in, even though it was rumored to be a short but memorable role. There seems to be a lot more Titans magic in flux this year. But again, I am being optimistic. We're ultimately gonna have to wait and see. But the fact that we've already got some indicators for some exciting things to come, plus some acknowledgement from Ryan Potter, who has actually been critical himself of the show, saying that they have listened to some criticism, is a promising prospect for the upcoming season. So KOTS says, do you think Brother Blood has potential to be a really compelling / well-written villain? Similar to what we were just talking about with the writing, we're gonna have to wait and see. Like, ultimately, I was really optimistic about Curran Walters' Jason Todd Red Hood in season 3. I thought the first 5 episodes were pretty decent, but as it unfolded, when he went back to Scarecrow, I felt like the writing dipped a little bit there. And, you know, who knows? The same thing could happen in a whole different way with the writing and scripts with the Church of Blood and Brother Blood. But one thing I will say, whilst also echoing the optimism for the writing as what I did in the previous question, so hopefully it should be okay and more polished with that example I gave of Donna. Hopefully no little things like that. But even so, I think Brother Blood, outside of all of that, will be really compelling regardless. And I know it sounds like I'm blowing smoke up Joseph Morgan's ass here, but like, he is very, very, very good. And I know a lot of you have seen his work before, whether that's in the Vampire Diaries, the originals, or other things that he's been in that we've talked about before. But the performance, I am very confident in. Like, I really mean that, and I hope you trust my judgment there. It is by far my most anticipated thing. If I can name one thing, it is Brother Blood, Joseph Morgan. So I know that from a very subjective experience, I will most likely be very entertained by that aspect, the villain aspect of season 4. And Franca Potente as Mother Mayhem and what else we've got going on there. I'm looking forward to all of that. So yeah, Brother Blood has the potential to be maybe even the most compelling villain we've had in all of the seasons of Titans. And that's not putting down any other previous villain. I thought S.O. Morales' Deathstroke was quintessential Deathstroke casting. Again, the writing's another thing with those seasons, but we're talking about how cool and compelling is the villain going to be. I do have a bit of optimism with the structure though, because for example, we know that Sebastian starts off a guy working a dead-end job, dreaming of one day changing the world, as Joseph Morgan said himself. And then I guess he's thrust into a world where there's an opportunity that helps him hone in on that. And he just keeps going down a spiral staircase, believing that maybe he's doing the right thing. And obviously, we're going to see it from a couple of different perspectives. The Titans will be trying to stop him, but he will be persisting. And I can't wait to get a lens into that, because as I always say, the best villains are ones that audiences can identify and empathize with. Obviously, you don't condone their actions, but being evil for evil's sake is quite one-dimensional, you know, and you know, sometimes that's fun. But I would say the most compelling villains and well-written ones are ones that have a good reason behind it, you know, very intriguing backstory, which just makes it so much more fascinating to watch unfold, the conflict and everything like that. And with everything Joseph Morgan has been teasing as well, and knowing his work and how excited he is by it, that just gives me optimism. That's quite an echoing word of this video. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on that as well, guys. No matter how this season turns out in terms of written quality, I think it will be, regardless, a very entertaining one. So Charlie Gonzalez asked something that I get asked quite a lot. I've spoken about it, but hopefully those of you who have made it to this point of the video can understand my perspective here. And he asked, given the recent issues with Warner Brothers, and I guess he means, you know, Warner Brothers Discovery, them axing certain things, are certain shows in danger at HBO Max? There's been some clarification behind that, saying they're actually going to focus quite a bit on HBO Max, but there's a whole different angle here with regards to Doom Patrol and Titans being in their 4th year, or 4th season, should I say. So Charlie says, given the recent issues with Warner Brothers, could season 4 be the swan song for the show, or could it possibly go on for at least one more season? P.S. Love the videos regarding Titans, the Batman, Stargo, etc. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much, Charlie. So this is interesting, because going back to what I said, I actually think this maybe has less to do with, oh, you know, if this goes down this year and they cancel it when they intend to go on for another season, that's all Warner Brothers Discovery's fault. I don't necessarily think so. Let's just hypothetically imagine a world where Warner Brothers Discovery never even purchased or merged with Warner Bros. This would still be the case in how Titans and Doom Patrol this year are maybe a little bit more, as I keep saying, under a microscope, a little bit of a magnifying glass to see how they perform. It's not exactly season 1, it's not exactly season 2, where they, I'm sure is doing very well back then, but it's a little bit easier to renew it. When you're in your 4th year, you need to justify quite a bit more to get that 5th season. And I think that it could be, as you say, maybe the swan song for even both shows, but I do know that Titans did aim to be like a 5-season plan, and I think that they will want to obviously be renewed for a 5th season, and they will probably structure it so it's a 5th and final season. I think that's their goal, that's their wish, that's what they will want to, wrap up on, is a 5-season show. But the thing is, will they get that? Now, it was reported that Titans and Doom Patrol are a little bit more on the chopping block, only with regards to seeing how well they perform after both seasons premiere on HBO Max towards the end of this year. We know Titans is coming out in November. I don't think we have a date for Doom Patrol. That statement in of itself isn't really unusual, especially for a show in its 4th season. Like, you would look at it, look at the numbers. If it's doing amazing, it's like, well, yeah, okay, we'll carry it on. But if it's like, okay, well, it's in its 4th year, it's not doing as well as what we kind of want to maybe drive subscriptions to HBO Max, we don't really feel like we're going to carry it on, and sorry, we might not give it a 5th and final season either. But if it does do well, there's 2 options. It gets renewed for a 5th season, and they don't announce it as the final season, or it gets renewed, but announced as the 5th and final season. Obviously, the third option is just no 5th season, and it just ends at season 4, even though the creatives and cast behind it probably wanted to go for that original plan from what I've heard with regards to that 5-season, plan. But in all honesty, right now, I couldn't tell you. I really, really couldn't tell you. Neither could anyone else. It really depends. Because if Titans comes to HBO Max in season 4 in November and it performs very, very well, they will obviously be like, okay, yeah, we'll give you another season. And then we get season 5, and as I said, there's a couple of options. Might be the 5th and final, which I think that's the one they would opt for, or they just will be ambiguous about it and make that decision down the line and just say that it's been renewed for season 5. One thing I heard as well is that Titans, when it is on air, is actually one of HBO Max's most popular shows. So that's something very interesting to consider. But ultimately, guys, we're just going to have to wait and see. And I know I've said that a few times now. I would like to think and maybe be optimistic that the creatives behind the show, Greg Walker and whatnot, might be aware of this. And towards the end of the season, kind of leave it at a place where even if it doesn't get renewed for a 5th and final season, and that's what they wanted to do, you can still be content as a fandom. To be honest, with the way Titans ends every year, I feel like they've almost taken that into account, because it doesn't ever end truly with a mad cliffhanger. Think about the end of last season. There was no mad setup or cliffhanger, was there? It was like, okay, Scarecrow's in Arkham, we have Dick Grayson and Raven walking out laughing, which isn't very heroic if you ask me, and then they got on the bus instead of taking the Batjet, and they sail off into the sunset, so to speak. There was no next season mad-ass setup, was there? Same with previous seasons, really. So even if we don't get a 5th season, I'm thinking that no matter what way it ends, it'll be like, okay, we can imagine, whatever the final scene is akin to last season, that's what they're doing now. We know that they're setting up Bloodhaven this season as well. We don't really know the context behind the location, but again, I feel like they want to go for 5 seasons because it could also set up Dick Grayson going to Bloodhaven, and that's where he decides to set up Home HQ as Nightwing to watch over Bloodhaven. But yeah, at this point, I'm rambling. Nobody knows, despite what anyone tells you, nobody knows the answer yet. We're going to have to wait and see several weeks into Titans Season 4, having already aired on HBO Max before, I guess, a decision is made. So Monumental Stonehead asks, what animals would you like Beast Boy to turn into this season? And are you interested in the introduction of Jinx for Season 4? Great content, man. Keep it up. Thank you, man. Man, what animals would I like him to turn into? I feel like this season, they're definitely, they would have heard the cries from the fandom with regards to the lack of Beast Boy transformation. We know we're getting a new suit that should hopefully somehow facilitate him transforming and maybe prevent him from being butt naked. I have no idea, but either way, Star Labs might be able to give us some clues there into his potential. As for I love wolves. That would be really, really cool. Have we seen that before? I don't think we have. We've seen a tiger, a snake, I think we were going to get a fish in season 1's ending. We've seen a bat. He looked like Man-Bat when he was transforming in season 3. But yeah, I don't know. Like a dog would be really awesome, but like maybe in the form of a wolf. I think a bird would be really awesome as well. I mean, I know he's transformed into a winged bat as we just went over, but like a grand big ass bird would be really cool, because that could be a way for him spying on the Church of Blood. Because if Beast Boy had that ability, he could do some recon, fly out right to the church, get his way in there, and, you know, just overhear what they're saying. Now, as for, and are you interested in the introduction of Jinx for season 4? Yeah, definitely. I'm very intrigued if she's, you know, working for the Church of Blood. Are they using her magic to facilitate certain things? Is she a Rose Wilson type character with how maybe she falls into the Titans reluctantly? I don't know. Do they save her from the cult? Was she initially in the cult, but she was unsure about it? I have all of these ideas going around my head. Is she linked to Raven with her magic as well? There's all kinds of things like that. We know very little. Absolutely nothing, in fact, with regards to Jinx this season, other than a couple of set photos where she's seems to be filming with all the other Titans, but so was Sebastian Sanger. So my interest is honestly my fascination of wondering what her role is exactly. Something tells me that she might be in with the Church of Blood, but not fully, like as in reluctantly, and maybe, as I said, they get her out of it and they get some intel there. But hey, I could be completely wrong. But if you have any ideas as to what you think Jinx's role could be this season, do let me know, because we kind of know nothing about it right now. All right, so up next is from Jaybird, and we've got quite a few questions here, so I'm going to try and breeze through it. What will be the primary focus of the season? Epic action and compelling plot points, or character growth and development? Even if there's both, which will be more predominant? Interesting question. So, I do think it'll be a bit of both, but the most prominent aspect of it, I'd like to think character growth, because we know that, as what was teased, there's a lot more interaction between the Titans this season. There's not loads of extra characters. In fact, we've lost a couple of characters like Donna, Dawn, so there's more time to be given to other Titans members. Sure, there's new cast members like Joseph Morgan, Franca Potente as Mother Mayhem, but at the same time, they're not going to be focused on in the same way the Titans are in the Titan scenes. So I would like to think there's going to be action, epic action, of course. Like, that's undoubtedly going to happen. We've had teasers of that towards the finale recently, with Joseph Morgan saying he was like doing like a 2-day shoot, likely fighting Nightwing. Compelling plot points, I think Sebastian's character arc will be compelling regardless, especially with the fact that magic will be quite hard to go up against from the Titans' point of view. You know, that will be hard for Superboy as well. I would like to say character growth and development will be more leaned upon this season, because a lot of the criticism sometimes has been, even though certain people love the cast, the characters, they feel like they don't always get leaned into a lot. Or for example, Raven last season was barely touched on. Even though she had some really cool stuff, you might lean on one or two more than others in the whole season. And then you just get some who are dabbled in a little bit more than others, and then some, like maybe Raven last season, who are left out in the cold a little bit. Again, I know we had quite a few scenes with her in the Mascara, then the Lazarus Pit stuff, but development, I mean, I guess there was a development in between seasons with how she kind of trained a little bit more, honed her powers a bit more, but again, that's not still the depth that a lot of people wanted to see with regards to character growth. So I'd like to say that I do think it truly is a mix of both, but I would say maybe 60-40%. 60 character growth and development, 40%, or maybe 45% if you want to shift it a little bit, epic action and compelling plot. How many episodes will we be getting this season? How many seasons are we likely going to get or know we are getting? So how many episodes is 12? No longer 13 this year. How many seasons? Well, we kind of already been over that. Hopefully 5. What will be the tone of the season? Will it be darker or lighter side? More goofy, dramatic, emotional, mysterious? Honestly, I know it sounds like a bit of a cop-out answer, but I think a combination of everything you just said. There will most certainly be darkness with the Church of Blood. Quite a lot of darkness, especially when you see Sebastian's journey unfold into Brother Blood and his journey in the Church of Blood. But there will most certainly be a lighter side and goofy side, especially with the Titans. Which, to be honest, you know, speaking about it out loud, it could be, again, this is optimistic, but it could be the most balanced Titans season yet with regards to the dark stuff that we already know about, the more teamwork-oriented fan criticisms taken into account stuff with the Titans, the promo stuff that we've already seen with them hanging out together and having fun. But of course, I reckon there will be emotional, dramatic things, definitely. And the mysterious stuff, I think, will come into the Church of Blood as well, because what is their end goal? I'm still wondering, is it going to be Trigon? Are they really going back to Trigon, or are they going to do something else in this adaptation and maybe not revisit Trigon? There's going to be a mystery aspect to that, I think. Maybe not fully mysterious. We might know about it by a certain point, but I really don't know what they're truly going to do to change the world. Will it be more focused on character dynamics, or will there often be individual episodes that focus on one character? So I don't know if this year we're going to get one of those episodes where it kind of focuses on one character. For example, like last year, there was an episode where it mainly focused on Curran Walters and, his Jason Todd. This year, we could, I guess, maybe get that in the form of like a dedicated Sebastian Sanger Brother Blood episode, maybe giving us all of the insight, kind of like how episode 5 did, give us a lot of the explanation behind how Jason came back to life. Maybe there's that missing piece with Sebastian that we will get by a certain episode, but I'm not so sure. Other than like what I just said there, I do think it will be a lot of character dynamics. So a lot of the Titans together, because we can't forget, we got Tim Drake as well this season. He's slowly becoming Robin towards the back end. We've got Raven and Gar and, Superboy. So I do think there'll be a lot of fun elements there. It does seem quite evident that Dick and Corey are going to be quite a duo this season as well from a lot of the promo photos. They already are the mother and father bear, if you will, of the Titans. But I'm really hoping towards that. So yeah, dynamics for sure. I don't think there's going to be like dedicated episodes in terms of what we've seen in previous seasons. Like even like Hank and Dawn, where we just saw stuff dedicated to them. I could be wrong though, because you could argue with Lex Luthor and Superboy. I feel like we could get a focus episode on Superboy perhaps. But the only thing with that is if you spend so much time on that, maybe some other fans will be like, okay, that's awesome, that's really cool, but do we not get the same focus on a Raven kind of episode and a Beast Boy kind of episode? Maybe they are going to do that. Which iteration of Brother Blood will this version be closest to? Judas Contract, the animated film, the Teen Titans show, the comics, Arrow? Good question. Unfortunately, we don't have all those kind of details yet. It's actually so ambiguous. I'm very fascinated. As I've said in most of my videos, are they going closer to the worship of Trigon? Are they trying to bring him back? Is Sebastian lured into the Church of Blood just through the promise of how they can help facilitate him changing the world if he joins and does this? What makes him become Brother Blood? Does he have like an ancestry of Brother Bloods? Because that's sometimes a thing, and where you have to kill your father to ascend. But I don't think they are going down that specific route. It's a very ambiguous thing right now that I honestly couldn't say. I think it might be a mix and there'll be references of certain things, but also quite innovative with their own adaptation. And for this Brother Blood, truly, I think his sole motivation is he wants to do something, he wants to change the world, and the Church of Blood is his avenue to get there. Is this season looking to grow the cast or maybe cut it down a bit more? It's interesting because, as we know, we've got 3 new cast members to my knowledge, maybe a couple here and there that I might forget. But Franca Potente's Mother Mayhem, Joseph Morgan's Brother Blood, and Lisa Ambelavina is Jinx. Now, we don't have Donna anymore, we don't have Hank, we don't have Red Hood Jason anymore, even though he will kind of be appearing again, I believe, but not as a series regular, that's what I mean. So that's 4 people gone. 4 people gone. So I do feel like with a slightly condensed cast, even though there's a few more on the villain side, we will get the kind of wishes that a lot of fans have been wanting with a bit more of a tight-knit, explored team. Now, as for your last question, what will be the airing pattern? Will there be breaks or will it air on a specific day? What day at a certain time to the week, and when is the premiere? So all we know right now is that Titans, as of this week, brand new information, is airing in November, a little bit later than some of us expected. As for the day, we don't know right now, but I know that last year it was on HBO Max on Thursdays, so if there's anything to go off with that, it could be Thursdays again on HBO Max with season 4. But with this, there's usually never any breaks. HBO Max releases like this, they just air 1 episode a week. Let's just assume it's Thursdays starting in November. It will carry on that way up until episode 12. Up next is from Rod Hire. I don't know if I said that wrong. First off, keep up the great work. Thank you. Second, do you think Brother Blood will survive this season? With a villain like Sebastian Sanger, as we've been described, that this is an origin story. So as I've already said, we'll see him from, Sebastian, a bit more of a timid guy, dead-end grand job, dreaming of changing the world, getting indoctrinated into the Church of Blood, becoming a mighty powerful Brother Blood maybe, and having showdowns with the Titans as we've been teased with by Joseph Morgan. My intuition is telling me that he will die. I don't think he will survive this season. I mean, sure, they could lock him up or something like that, similar to Scarecrow, but I think this would be a bit of a tragedy. A man who, from his point of view, feels like he's doing the right thing, wanting to change the world in whatever way we don't truly know yet. But again, remember what I said about empathizing with the villain, albeit not condoning what they're doing. We will understand what he's trying to do, and there'll be some kind of empathy there where maybe he gets bested and maybe tries to go overboard in the showdown to try and achieve it, whatever he tries to do that is, and he might die. I don't know, but I'm just feeling that Joseph Morgan's Sebastian will be trying so hard to accomplish what he's trying to do that he will die as a result of whatever happens in the last couple of episodes or whatever, probably the final episode. And it will kind of just be like, oh man, like a shame in a way. Like it would be like, yay, the villain, the baddie is defeated, but you don't not feel anything. You don't feel apathy. You don't necessarily feel like cheering. You just kind of feel like, damn, like Sebastian went down this path. He thought he was doing the right thing and he stopped at nothing to achieve it, but ultimately it was his undoing. I think it will be more that kind of thing. So random user asks, at one point, wasn't there a rumor about a Red Hood spinoff? I haven't heard anything about it in a while, and is there any chance of that still happening, or do you think it's been cancelled? So, cancelled isn't really the right word to use if it was never truly greenlit, if that makes sense. I think what happened here, from my opinion and from what I've heard throughout the past couple of years, and again, what I've heard could be complete bullshit for all I know, but I do think Red Hood was on the table, like some kind of spin-off show of Titans, and at that time, the landscape of this coming to fruition was likely to a certain extent. And then when season 3 aired, I don't know what conclusion they came to as to why it never happened, but whatever happened with that pitch, they obviously got to the point of, if, hypothetically this was going to happen and it was pitched and they heard the idea, they decided not to do it anymore. Now, I could be wrong. It might have always been a rumor, and truly a rumor and nothing more, but I think it was going to happen, or at least it was looking like it was going to happen, in the sense that there were a few thumbs up behind the scenes, but it wasn't being bankrolled. It wasn't even being written properly. But it looked like, hey, we might be getting a Red Hood spin-off show or something like that. But no matter what, I think that's as far as it got. I think it was just feelers were being put out there. It looked optimistic at one point in time, but before it ever had a chance to grow, the flower got cut, so to speak, before it could truly blossom. That's the only analogy I could give you, and that's the way I understand it to be. And as for anything that could still happen with it, no, absolutely not. I don't think anything would happen with, like, this long after season 3, Jason's had his time as Red Hood. I mean, I know he's coming back likely again this season for a bit of a guest appearance, if you will. Maybe he helps out the Titans with something or another. But that itself won't spark a fire for the Red Hood show spinoff again. And speaking of Red Hood, I'm going to make this the last question for today's video, but there has been a lot more. So if you want to see another one of these, do let me know, and hopefully we'll get to more of your questions. But Beard Up, Beard Down says, I hope we get to see Jason again. Even though they kind of butchered the Red Hood, I haven't heard anything about him making an appearance though. So I think we kind of have heard some things. If I remember correctly, J. Cargo may have posted, or Curran Walters may have posted on their Instagrams that they were working out together, doing some kind of things like that, which did kind of show to me that they were bringing Jason back for an episode or two at some point in the season. Maybe he offers to help, or they need his help. I really don't know there, but the fact that he was working out with Jay Cargo during filming, sure, they're friends in real life, sure, it could have just been a workout session between mates, but it wouldn't remotely surprise me with how much Curran Walters loves the show. And while his character is alive out there, you may have characters like Dawn and Donna, Connor Leslie, and Minka Kelly, who maybe aren't so interested in coming back right now. By the way, that's not a fact. I'm just vibing that. Don't count on them coming back. Could be wrong. But Curran Walters, I feel like would be like, hey, yeah, man, if you want me to come back for an episode or two, I'll be down. That's what I vibe from Curran. So when he was working out with Jay, I think he will come back. But don't expect series regular. Don't expect 4 episodes. Don't expect 3 episodes. Don't even expect 2. 2 would be the best, I think, but maybe a one-off episode, but who knows? We might get to as a bit more of the, well, funnily enough, speaking of the spin-off Red Hood and the Outlaw show, or whatever that was going to be, we finally might get a chance to see in season 4 not a reformed Jason, but a Red Hood, like the comics, of whom gets to the point after all of the diabolical stuff that happens, tries to become a little bit more of a vigilante anti-hero type. And that could be the Jason that we see this season helping the Titans out with the Church of Blood. Alright guys, so I think that ends today's Titans Season 4 discussion series video. Let me know what you thought about everything we discussed, and trust me, there is a lot more. I was hoping to get to a lot more, but you know me, BobaTalks is literally the channel name, so I do tend to ramble quite a bit. If you want to see more of these, do let me know by leaving a like on this video. Thumbs up do matter and they do help, but also type a comment saying you want to see more, if you do want to see more, of course. And do consider subscribing for more news updates and discussion series videos maybe on Titan Season 4. Whenever we get a promo or breaking news, I will be on top of it, unless it happens over the next few days. Hopefully not. I mean, technically, the time you're seeing this, I'm already away, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, I will be on top of Season 4 reviews, and I'm sure you'll enjoy other content on this channel. But I think that's everything. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, fellow Titans, in the next video. Goodbye.